there, and welcome back to Oh Yes You Can. Have you been practicing some of the things we talked about in session 1? I hope you have, because we're going to apply those to some more fun type projects now. In this session, we're going to color your world. And of course, when we say color your world, remember, the basics are really all you need. Of course, we could get a lot more complex than that as we go forward, but to get us started today, let's start with the basics. And by that, I mean what we call the primary colors. Blue. When I say blue, I think true blue, like the blue of the American flag. That blue, not the blue that might have some red tones in it or some other kinds of green tones, perhaps. Red. Again, the red of the American flag. It doesn't have the reddish tones of a red-violet. It doesn't have the yellow tones of a sunset, perhaps. And the other primary color is yellow. Possibly the yellow of a dandelion, that bright, pretty clear yellow. So those are the three basic colors that form everything we'll be doing. And those are called, of course, the primary colors. You know that. Okay, let's talk about the packet that I hope you picked up from the library. If you did, it has in it a strip of paper. It has a diagram. And it's supposed to have some other papers that I don't have at the moment. Shame on me. It's because I grabbed the wrong packet, that's why. The other paper it should have in there is a picture of a, voila, pumpkin. What else this time of year, right? So, the strip of paper, this diagram like that, and the pumpkin picture, and crayons. If you didn't pick up a packet from the library, make your own. Any strip of paper. It doesn't have to be this color. It doesn't have to be this size. It's just like the back of an old envelope. Doesn't matter. We're just going to practice some strokes on that in just a minute. If you don't have these others, well, you can draw your own. You can download them. I think they're probably attached to this video. And if that doesn't work, you can go to the internet and pull out your own color wheel, because that's what we're going to be building. Okay? And of course, when it comes to this one, if you want to draw your own or photocopy what's in the packet, whatever you want to do is fine. Okay. All that being said, let's begin with the strip of paper. This is going back to the original Oh Yes You Can, when almost everything we did was in pencil. And I was showing you some very, very basic things. And I need to go back to the one we called the grayscale. Remember grayscale? That's when I asked you, I didn't say you needed a pencil. Bad, Linda. Here's the other thing you'll need. Pencil, any old paper, back of an envelope, whatever. What I want you to do is start with the side of your pencil, not the sharp point, the side of your pencil, so you get a nice broad stroke. Start at one end of the paper. Make strokes, just scribble marks, back and forth, as dark as you can. Dark, 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 dark. And as you're going toward the other end of the paper, gradually, very gradually, get lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter. And I'll show you in a moment what the end result should look like, so that when you get to the other end, actually you have no color at all. Mine obviously is not done yet because I should never be able to see this much change from here to here. This needs to be much more gradual, so I need to go back and work on mine some more because a grayscale is so gradual that you never realize where the changes occur. And this is an important aspect of what we're going to apply in our creation this morning. So I'm going to go back and start with where I made the dark, 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 make them darker, darker, get rid of any white that might still be showing. Try again to get lighter as I come across. Again, getting rid of any white marks in there, lighter as I come across. Oh, I think I'm beginning to get it. Show you in just a moment here. That's better. It's not perfect yet. I need to go back. See right in here, it goes really from black to white all at once. So I need to kind of make that a more graduated change. So, even though that seems like the silliest, simplest thing in the world, is something that you will find extremely useful as you continue with your adventures in color. And that's what we're going to begin doing right now. On your diagram, the one, come on, bring the clip, let me go. The one that looks like this, please notice that 3 of these circles are larger than the other 3. Let's come in our picture a little bit. That's because I want these to be for the primary colors. And I realize you may not have the materials in front of you right now to do this, so why don't you watch for just a minute and then you can do it on your own. On one of the large circles, put your very nice, bright, true red. And on another one of the larger circles, put your very bright dandelion yellow. And in the third one, put the American flag, true blue. And you want to let those dry so that you... By the way, I never did mention to you what I'm using. This morning I used school paints, poster paint, tempera, whatever you want to call it, washable paint. You can use acrylic. Color mixing is going to work for you in any medium that you choose. It'll work better sometimes than others. It'll work better with things that are liquid and can be mixed together than it will with crayons, for example. Okay, you've got the primary colors. And this is kindergarten stuff, right? You already know this. We're just going back for a little quick review. When you mix the primary colors, you get a new blend. So we're going to now, with your red and your blue, or whatever your next color is, red and the next color, you're going to put about half and half of each color here and mix them together. I just mentioned a minute ago that if you're using crayons, it will work, but they don't mix as well. But it'll still work for you, and you're going to get a new color here. And it's going to look, get my red on top like yours is. I did this one backwards, didn't I? I have you doing red and blue together, so here's my red and blue. See how I'm getting a lavender, a purple out of that? Over here, the red and the yellow give me orange. And of course, the yellow and the blue, put my finger on it. The yellow and the blue are going to give me green. And these are called the secondary colors. You knew that. And this can go on out as far as you choose to go. If you mix this one and this one, you're going to get a reddish orange. If you mix this one and this one, you're going to get a red violet. If you mix this one and this one, you're going to get a blue violet, a darker color. So that's something fun to play with. There are lots of really attractive color wheels on the internet. You can find something that you really like and think you might use and download it and maybe preserve it and keep it for your own uses. I have a publication at home, a book that has an absolutely gorgeous color wheel in it that has all these variations of the colors that we've been talking about, but down to the finest detail of a little more green in it, a little less green in it, that kind of thing. That's fun. And you can play with that and to your heart's content. And then we are going to move on to applying what we've just talked about, the color mixes and the grayscale. Remember the grayscale? Into our pumpkin drawing. So you'll want to get your hands on your pumpkin drawing. And at this point, clear away maybe some of the stuff that you've accumulated like I have in front of me. And let's bring back our pencil for just a moment. This pumpkin is purposely not completed. I want you to have the experience of completing it because you've probably all looked at a pumpkin, but did you look at it carefully to see how it grows, how it looks in its structure? Did you notice that these lines, these, I guess they're like seams, follow the shape of the pumpkin? See, this one was already in place for you over here. This one was not. I just drew it in. There's another one started here, and it appears to end up here. Draw that one in yourself. And any others that you see on here. And while you're doing that, I'm going to do it too. By the way, I'm using a sketching stroke, which means that I'm just putting my pencil lightly on the paper. I don't want to make dark marks in case I have to erase and make a change later on. Did you notice that about halfway around the pumpkin, you had to change directions to follow the growth of the pumpkin? Did you notice that? I hope yours looks something like mine. Doesn't have to be exactly, but I hope it looks something like mine. Okay, now let's think about the colors of the pumpkin. Well, now this gets complicated because pumpkins nowadays come in white and they have some blue, tinges of blue in them, and they can have some lavender in them, and of course they're yellow, and they're all colors, all rather shades of orange and red and so forth. So the sources of coloring experiences are just endless with pumpkins. They are just the most fun thing, I think. Evidence being that I love pumpkins. I brought this one to show you so that we could talk about a number of things. First of all, notice that the pumpkin is not all the same color. Even on the same pumpkin, it's not all the same color. And why is that, you say? Well, of course you know. It's because the light coming in to the pumpkin from the sun, the moon, the flashlight, whatever, is hitting those pumpkins in certain areas more directly. So for this one over here, I would say that the flashlight is aiming directly at it because we have a really bright spot there. And as the light diffuses further away and goes around the circle of the pumpkin, of course, the colors become less clear, shall we say. We begin with the lightest part of the grayscale, so to speak, here, and then we begin to gradually move out to darker colors. So this begins with almost a yellow, could have some white in the middle, moving out to oranges. I'm going to be demonstrating in orange today because that's what I like to do. But you could use pink, red, you can do whatever you want. But the point is, as we move further away out here, we're going to get darker and darker, and we may need to pick up additional colors because obviously, since we're using crayons today, we don't have crayons dark enough that we can do that without changing crayons, okay? So let's now think about what we have in our crayon box and start getting out what we'll be needing. I'll bring that picture back and we can look at it again as we need to. But I think I'm going to, I think I'll get out a white one just because I'll probably need it later on for a highlight in the lightest part of where the light is hitting the pumpkin. I should have a little work tray to put my crayons on so they don't roll all around. Okay, there's my white one. I'm going to dig out all my oranges and yellows to start with. Just to see what I have. And I'm going to put them in order from lightest to darkest. Looks like from lightest to darkest. That may not be enough colors yet, but that'll get me started. Okay, that's going to be my lighter and middle colors, and then I need to remember that as I move away from the light, I need to get darker colors in that same kind of color. So I'm going to look at the reds now. And I don't see, I guess if I have to go to purple then, don't I? Let's see what I've got in red and purple. Ooh, quite a lot. I don't want to use all these. I'll confuse myself. Okay, again, I'm going to start with the lightest one and go to the darker ones. Looks like I might have some that are almost the same, so I won't have to keep them out. Looks like I might have them now in the lighter of the reds, moving toward the darker purples. And that's too many colors to try to remember, so I'm going to keep the red one, and I'm going to keep the next purple one, and I think I'll get rid of these two, and let's see what kind of blue I've got here. I think I'll keep those three for my darker colors. And then I'm going to go back to these and add the, oh, I just dropped them and got them all out of order. All right, I have to have the yellow. Moving toward the darker. Here we go. Again, too many colors to keep track of, so I'm going to, I think I'm going to get rid of this one and maybe this one and keep those three. So now I have what should work pretty much all across my pumpkin, beginning with the lightest, moving toward each of the darker colors here. Let's try that. Let's start on the middle section of our pumpkin. Let's start on this part right here. And let's let our flashlight hit that one most directly. So it's going to have the brightest, lightest colors of all. Remember the grayscale? First of all, let's see, I think I'll just start with my lightest color. And it's so light that you won't be able to see it perhaps. But I'm kind of doing a grayscale right in the middle of the pumpkin. Now I'm going to take the next color and come into that, overlap a little bit, and extend a little bit. This is so light so far that you'll have trouble seeing it. You can begin to see that. Now I'm going to take the next color, join it to what I just did, a little mixing, a little overlap. And getting a little darker as I move away. And I think I'm going to bring one more color into that at the moment. And it's actually one of the red violets. It's starting to move toward the purples a little bit. This process done correctly can take quite a long time. So we probably will not finish this in this video. You'll be free to finish it on your own at your leisure and spend as much time on it as you want to, or as little as you want to. But I'm going to go back now and intensify all those things I just did. The lightest part in the middle. The next color overlapping a bit and extending. Next color overlapping a little bit and extending further. And ultimately my goal is when I get up here to the top, that really needs to become the darkest part of my picture, and I will be getting rid of all the white, covering everything by the time I get up here. But please remember that we're working from lighter to darker, from darker to lighter. We are graduating our colors as we go. I'm trying to keep mine in order as I work here so that I remember which one comes next. See, it's beginning to show some contour. And as I get down here, of course, where's my dark one? As I get down here to the bottom, of course, this part of the pumpkin is furthest away from the flashlight reflection, and so it needs to be darker also. Now, I have just begun. Please believe me, that is just the beginning. It needs to have more of everything, more of everything. More overlapping so that no lines are showing. And I've got lots and lots and lots of lines showing, so I've got to do some work in here. And I'm using the side of my crayon for a lot of this and finding it works a lot better than when I use the point. There, I covered up some of the white. Now, that still doesn't do what I want it to do. So I'm going to go to my purple section. Remember we saved out a bunch of purples? And I'm going to choose I think it's the middle color I want. I'm going to go to that. I'm going to call it a seam line because I don't know what else it is. That ridge that shows the curve in the pumpkin. I'm going to make that darker so that it is moving away and in shadow from me. And coming down into the bottom where the flashlight doesn't shine on it. Again, I'm darkening that. And I want to come back in this middle area and make it, I'm doing a lot of overlapping so that I can blend my colors. I brought orange in and tried to blend these colors more together. And this is what we're striving for. The dark down here where the flashlight doesn't shine. Dark on the bottom of this one. See, this one's more over out of the light entirely, so it has less brightness to it overall. And these equally so back here. These are further away and less distinct in colors. So we're going to keep our light here in the lightest parts of our pumpkin. Actually, on the one we were working on, this is the light here. So I'm going to have to show you with a pencil. Here's the light on this section. So the light in this section would probably be here. Darker around it. A little smaller over here, a little less brightness, a lot more darkness as we move away from the flashlight. I invite you to try that. Spend as much time as you want on it, or as little time, as I said a while ago, on it, until you're pleased with what you have done. If you liked this experience, why don't you try another pumpkin of your own drawing? Pumpkins come in all shapes, so don't worry about drawing a perfect pumpkin. Any old shape that you like. And maybe make a ghost pumpkin. Or some of the other colors that you may see in the farmer's market. But just play with that a lot and work with the gray stroke. Blending so that you don't see these lines that are still existing in mine. Mine need lots more work of blending in those colors. Keep working with that. And as I say, other kinds of pumpkins, and just have some fun with it. If you think this is something you're going to like, you might think about investing in some, maybe poster paints is one option. That's what I showed you before. These school paints. Acrylics are an option. Both are water-based, so they're relatively easy cleanup and relatively, well, they will stain, but not, it can more or less wash out. There are other things that we can talk about, and we may talk about at a future time. That's enough to get you started. And I hope you've come back and play around with us again next time as we color your world.